Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast. It's Thursday, but it ain't Thursday Tier Talk because we're on an international break. It's Pro Wrestling Weekly. Joining me tonight for a kind of a bonus, what would we say, detoxing from football and talking about wrestling, our other passion. Darren, how are we?
I'm all right, pal. And if anyone needs a detox from football, it's me. Like, I'm a Man United supporter who lives in Ireland. We're two of the shittest football teams you've ever seen in your life. You know what I mean? Like, they could actually play off in a really bad 0-0 draw against each other, Ireland and Man United at this stage. That's how bad it is. Jesus, whipped.
Yeah, I looked at that first half. I said it to you off air before we came on. I
Yes.
looked at that. Go back to Shamrock Rovers or something like that, or Shelbourne, and put them out against them or something like that. Shocking.
Yeah.
But anyway, we have a good show tonight, plenty to get through and all that kind of good stuff. We're going to be doing a recap of Bad Blood. Get your thoughts on that. I'll get your thoughts on the Vince McMahon documentary as well, because obviously you haven't been on. We've shared it, of course,
Absolutely,
with each other, but get a quick recap on that. We won't go into too much detail. We'll have a quick rundown through Raw. We'll have a quick kind of prediction rundown through Wrestle Dream, and then a few other bits to talk about. Unfortunately, AJ Styles getting injured and a couple of other bits of news to talk about. One that you spoke to me about, of course, the hotel situation, the NXT thing, and we will talk about that, no doubt.
I dressed up for the occasion.
There you go. You got the Mr.
Chicago's
T on.
Mr. T. I got the Mr. T on.
There we go. Right, so let's start then. If you could, folks, of course, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, and drop a like on the video, regardless of whether you're watching it on the replay or live. We would appreciate that.
I brought something along for the evening.
Go on.
Hear that sound? Hang on. Just opening the corner of this bag.
The corner of a bag? What's that? What are they?
Rhubarb and custard.
Let that settle in.
These are quite a substantial bag, as you can see.
Yeah, Daz, we're going to get into that.
You get a big bag of rhubarb and custards like that for €2 in Shardens down the road.
Oh, right. Yeah. Old school, is it? They nearly have to do. We have the wine scales, or you buy a quarter nearly, is it?
No. There's no wine scales. This album with about 4 teeth in her head.
Up till a few.
Dumps it in, and like it goes by. If she's having a good day, you get loads, and if she's having a bad day, you don't get fucking loads, and that's how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a shop that we used to stop in when we were going down through the Midlands. I think there was a shop somewhere. Can't remember the name of it now. And on one side it was a pub, and on the other side it was kind of like a convenience shop, sold a few bits of that.
Yeah.
But the lads were still old school. They used to serve you in the old leather bibs. You know, the leather kind of bib.
The apron.
And they used to have all the jars of sweets on the wall and the wine scales, old school. So you'd have the bullseyes and the fruit salads and the blackjacks, everything they had. Everything.
This Shardens is next door to the chemist. And I had to pick something up from the chemist the other day. Bit of cattle paw, bit of Norfan for the kids this weekend. And of course, I looked. I had to park outside Shardens. And Shardens only takes cash as well, by the way. No cards, sorry, only cash.
A woman of my own heart.
So I looked in the glove, and I looked in the little thing in the middle. I said there was £4. There was €2. I went in and I got a €2 bag of rhubarb and custards, and I got a €2 bag of pineapple cubes.
Pineapple cubes. I haven't heard of them in a while. There you go.
The next time I'm gonna come into the shop, I'll hit Shardens up before I come in, and I'll bring in a little something for you and the family. You know what I mean, for the weekend.
Very nice little selection. Very nice. Right. Anyway, that's the end of our field review club for this week. Fair play to Sharon. Right, so let's get into this. Bad Blood. You can see up in the top I put in the breakdown of the views for each of the segments and stuff like that. But the real thing we want to go through, we'll start anyway with Hell in a Cell, CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre, defeated Drew.
Excuse me. The opener was just amazing, wasn't it? It really was.
Being touted as match of the year.
It was old school Hell in the Cell. You know, that's what it looked like to me. It brought us back to the Attitude Era. I loved the blood because I think the blood added to the match. I don't think it was something that they decided we're going to just blade for the sake of it. Hey, Barry. You know, I think at times, you know, we talk about AEW and stuff like that, and at times there's an over-reliance on having to bleed to tell the story. I think this was something that was part of the story, and I think because of how things had gone previously, we had to see a little bit of blood. But I like the idea of the ref kind of stepping in to try and clean the boys up to allow them, you know, full view and stuff like that. Now, I know the fans didn't love it.
He got dogs abuse, didn't he? He got dogs abuse.
He did, but I mean, like, let's be honest, like, that could make things a little bit dangerous if you were to mistime something because your eyes full of blood, that it was dripping, you know what I mean? So I can get it. And it's obviously something that was given to him from the back. And the boys in Gorilla and stuff like that would have obviously said, listen, this is what we want you to do. If the crowd give you heat, keep it up. It's just to make sure, you know, it's just to make sure the lads are safe and that they get all their spots and hit their marks and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, it certainly was one that kicked the pay-per-view or the premium live event going. Absolutely outstanding work from both men. God, the level of blood was incredible from Drew, wasn't it? We seen afterwards the staples in the head and all. He took a bad bang off one of the tail box shots. That's for sure.
I think it was the tail box. That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he was really opened up with it. Like, it wasn't, you know, it was really it was done the hard way, as they say. It was good.
Absolutely. Next up, then we had Women's Championship. Nia Jax defeating Bayley. What have you made? I mean, obviously we seen the match and stuff like that, and the match, like, there was certain elements of it that were kind of cool, but a lot of it was kind of clunky and disjointed.
Yeah.
And I know it's very hard sometimes to find chemistry with the big girl and that type of thing and stuff, but it's what have you made of Bayley? I mean, she had that title run there, which was certainly unflattering.
She's that face that needs to chase, isn't she?
Yeah,
she really is. I think when she gets in front, I think she idles, unfortunately, and she is that face that needs to chase. I think maybe they could do with shaking up the gimmick a little bit. I think the gimmick's a little bit bland. You know, I don't know whether they could do with putting someone with her or giving her something, but she's devoid of something, and it's tough to put your finger on it because, let's be honest, generally in ring, Bayley's a really, really good performer. She's a fan favorite, but when she gets that belt on her, it just doesn't fit the way it needs to. You know what I mean?
It's kind of confusing, isn't it? Because, like, she presents herself like a heel, but yet she's a baby face.
Yeah,
you know, and it's kind of like it's like she's trying to be now an adult rock chick hugger for the adult fan base or something like that, and you're there going,
yeah,
where
it's not hitting the spot at all.
Yeah,
it's just not hitting the spot, unfortunately. And again, like, I think Bayley's a good worker. You know, I think you know what you're going to get out of Bayley. She's generally pretty good on the injury front as well. She doesn't carry too many knocks, and she's always available and stuff like that. So she's very reliable, and you can see why she's always in that kind of a title picture and stuff. But I just think something has to give. I think she's gone a little bit stale. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Bayley maybe head back to NXT for a little while.
Right, sure.
I think, you know, it could help her refresh the character, and it could bring some NXT fans along on the journey. And if she went in as some kind of, you know, some ass kicker, some badass, some, you know, disgruntled with what's been going on at the top level, I'm coming down here to take control of this and bloody bland, you know, maybe put the belt back on her and give Roxanne Perez some opposition and stuff like that. I think Roxanne is just, you know, she's flourishing at the minute. She really, really is. Every match is just a step higher on the ladder for Roxanne Perez. So I think maybe a little, even a trading, so to speak, where somebody goes up and somebody comes down, but we elevate them both in doing so. You know,
and where she's kind of like most of what she would face now on the two main rosters on SmackDown and Raw, we've kind of seen most of it at this stage.
Absolutely.
With the exceptions of maybe Lyra, who's come up and that kind of thing and all. But then you look down there at NXT, there's endless possibilities there. You know, you've got Stephanie after coming in, Guil's after coming in. There's so many great women after coming in there now. So the roster's so stacked at the moment. So she could go down there and she could have really solid feuds with any of those girls down there. You know what I mean?
And I think the issue on the main roster is because the women don't seem to get a bigger share of the time, you can only shine a light on a chosen few. So obviously on Raw, you know, we get to see Rhea and Liv and stuff like that. And then on SmackDown, we've had Nia and Tiffy and Bailey. But I mean, look, I look at even Raw the other night with a 10-man or a 10-woman tag to try and show, you know, what else is here and what else we can do and how we can move the narrative and stuff like that. I think that's important for them to try and keep doing things like that and recycling and rejuvenating, because like there was some good girls in that 10-woman tag who haven't been getting the time that they've deserved, possibly because, you know, there's been other stuff on the card and stuff like that, you know.
And wrestling being that focal business of out of sight, out of mind, you know. Absolutely. Very, very much so, you know. So yeah, but it was certainly an interesting one, but certainly one that didn't heap a lot of praise coming over. Next up, Damian Priest defeated Finn Balor. Give us your thoughts on this one.
So again, I think the one thing we all spoke about on Saturday night was how, because Drew and Punk obviously ripped it up, everything after that for the next little while felt like it was a drop off. I think Nia and Bailey's match was a poor match, and I think I think any night of the week it was a poor match. I think you probably get the Finn and Priest match over a bit more if it wasn't so close to the Hell in the Cell match. Do you know what I mean? I think there would have been a little more buy-in. I still don't think it was a barn burner by any stretch of the imagination, but I think you could have sold it a little more with a little more time between the opening match and then.
Maybe if you had the two women's matches together and then Priest and Balor leading into the Bloodline match,
possibly,
because the crowd might have come down and they might have been on their way back up again. Then
maybe, although I do think, like, I don't love the idea of the two women's matches back to back, because I think it's very easy, like, for people to kind of switch off a little bit, and then if you lose them, it can be hard to reel them back in, you know.
But the problem is if you don't bring it back up, if Priest and Balor don't deliver and bring it back up again, then you have it sunk, and then we'll get on to Liv and Rhea. Obviously, what happened there and everything, and then, you know, before you know it, it's a huge task for the boys then in the main event to bring it right.
And that's kind of the way it looked. Like, it was bookended really, really well, and it was a bit soft through the center. And that's, you know, that's kind of the vibe I had after it. I thought the opener and the main event were right out of the top drawer. Whereas I think, you know, what we've seen in between, I don't think it was necessarily the fault of, other than maybe Nia and Bailey. Like, their match was a poor match, as we said. There was a lot of missed spots. There was a lot of botches in it and stuff like that. Whereas I think there was a lot less of that in the next two matches, in the Balor and Priest match and in the Rhea and Liv match. But it was damp. The Judgment Day didn't feel as big as Punk and Drew, and it didn't feel as big as the Bloodline. Nothing is ever going to be as big as the Bloodline. So we know that. We understand that. I think it's one of the reasons why they didn't decide to go down the Sami Zayn and Gunther route on the pay-per-view. I think that's why they kept it off, because I think they understood that there was a possibility that whatever was sandwiched between those two matches was going to be a little bit of a damn squib, and they didn't want to put that on Gunther, and they didn't want to put that on Sami Zayn.
Yeah. So Priest defeated Balor. Are we quickly approaching a situation here where the two compounds of the Judgment Day should just part ways now and go off on a different tangent and kind of do their own thing again?
I mean, I think we see I think we see obviously with Priest. Priest is now going to move on. I think that's Finn. I think that's Priest done with the Judgment Day. I think Rhea, unfortunately, is still entwined and entangled in that. Obviously, you're kind of waiting to find out, has Raquel Rodriguez joined the Judgment Day, or is it just, is she the bodyguard? Is she the hired heat? Whatever way you want to look at it, or is she a legitimate member of the Judgment Day? And if so, then you're looking at Finn. Then you're looking at JD, Carlito, Liv, Dominic, and Raquel. And to me, to be honest with you, that's lost a lot of its luster with Priest and Rhea leaving the building. It really, really has.
Yeah, kind of seems like a kind of it's such a mixed bag that you would never kind of put together. You have obviously Balor there with JD, which you put together. You've Liv and Dominic on this side, and then you've kind of Carlito out here just hanging out. You know what I mean? It's like he's
like Carlito's generally not even having matches very regularly. He's just hanging around the TV area or the locker room, or he's doing run-ins and stuff like that. So he's a little bit redundant in it. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised to see when things heat up, obviously in the tag team division. Obviously, we've seen vignettes last week of the Motor City Machine Guns, and they look like they're on the way. And I think there's been some movement on the Lucha Bros as well, with Ray Phoenix and there you go. Look at that. See the way I segued in there? I think there's been a little bit of movement on the Ray Phoenix and the Pentagon thing as well. So like with the addition of the boys in there, I could absolutely see Finn and Balor going in there as some sort of, Irish tag team and trying to hold up their end of the bargain in the tag team division outside of the Judgment Day. But I think it has to. I think there has to be a fragmenting of the Judgment Day now. I'm okay with Dominic and Liv and Raquel going one direction, and I'm okay with Balor and JD going the other. But I think at that stage you've lost Carlito, so where do you go?
Yeah.
Is he collateral damage, so to speak, in the breakup?
Yeah, and then what happens there? Obviously, we'd have to take a look at that. Obviously, next up, we have the Women's World Championship. Rhea Ripley defeating Liv Morgan by disqualification. This match was moseying along nicely. I loved the spot with Dom in the cage and the way he sold it. It was absolutely brilliant.
The drop, it was brilliant. He did really, really well.
Obviously, we had the huge botch to the finish, obviously, which kind of ruined it a little bit, and it, we say botch. For me, botch is a little bit. We're pushing it a little bit with the botch. There was a timing issue. Like, for me, a botch is when somebody doesn't execute the move very, very well. Whereas I feel like she knew what she was doing. She just miscued the timing completely, and then ended up pulling her on top of it, even though the ref had DQ'd the whole thing. But I mean, normally, but if you're a real top elite pro wrestler out there, or talent or whatever, you think on your feet there, and you figure it out, and you figure out something else. You don't just psychologically go along with what was planned when it's gone wrong. You figure out how to go along with where it's gone wrong or something like that. You lay down an absolute beat down, or you do whatever you have to do to get over what you were doing, instead of like.
And I think that was a huge problem that, like you say, with Raquel not thinking on her feet, when she pulls Liv over on top, that for me that's the first issue. But even if she'd have realised, she should have just picked Rhea Ripley up and started powerbombing her into all the turnbuckles and just left her in an absolute bloody mess in the middle of the ring to send some sort of a message and take the eye off the fact that you've mistimed it really badly, you've missed a cue, and now you've missed a pinfall.
Yeah, DQ it because you're DQing it. Don't DQ it because everyone knows you fucked up. What I mean? If it's going to be a DQ. Yeah, it was just it was weird. And I'm sure when they got backstage, and I don't know if you've seen, there was a picture. Did you see the picture of your man who was the guy who was signaling Raquel and stuff like that? When she went out, there was a picture of him. He's like this with his hands on his head, going, "Oh no!"
I didn't see the picture actually. That's one I should look out for.
A picture came out of your man. He was obviously the guy who was calling Raquel's timing, and obviously I don't know what happened. Obviously, a signal was delivered, and out she went. So someone got it wrong somewhere along the line.
Where did she come from? Was she under the ring, or did she come from the crowd?
She came out from the crowd. She came out from the crowd on the right-hand side and ran around, as far as I know. So there was obviously there was the guy who was there.
See obviously Rhea was underneath the Shark Tank.
Yeah.
And that was going on. And Raquel came from the right hand side. But
yeah,
you know, for me it was like, did she come through the crowd to come over the barricade to go that way? Or did she come maybe from the opposite side of the ring and come round?
Yeah, I think it was out. It was probably around kind of,
because there was another picture, which was the TV screen and the monitor underneath the ring. Did you see this one?
Yeah, I did see that one. All right, yeah.
Now I know there was other moments when that would have come in handy and stuff like that, but it could also have been for Raquel's spot, and maybe, you know, I don't know, she lost her concentration or something. But
maybe, I don't know, but she obviously either she got a signal too early or she went too early or something happened. I don't know, but it was just it just killed it as well, you know. So then we get into the main event: Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns defeating the Bloodline. This is kind of what we were expecting. We got what we were expecting. I was really, I was quite excited to see Roman, you know, face off against Jacob, because I think that's really for us. I think that's really where the money is.
That's a WrestleMania main event.
Yeah, that's for me as well. Yeah. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Like, I think obviously I loved the kind of storytelling element to it. Was great with Jimmy coming out and stuff like that. I think obviously when we saw the guy in the mask with the hoodie and the bandana and everyone stopped, like, we knew exactly who it was. But the way Roman stopped as well.
Yeah.
And he didn't stop because, you know, something else. He stopped because he went, who's that guy? You know, and then obviously it shines a light on Jimmy. And then Jimmy hits the couple of super kicks. And then you're watching the hood, and then you're looking at the bandana and you're like, this is just brilliant. And then for Roman to be like, you came back for me, you know, and he was like, you're my guy. Just the storytelling element of it was great.
Moment. That was a cool
moment. It was really, really cool, you know, because don't forget, we were at a pay-per-view where Jimmy Uso was the one that came out and helped Roman with the bandana and the hood, you know what I mean? So it was easy to draw back to that then, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And then we kind of got we got the beat down at the end and the two boys running back in. And that's when I thought I was going to get my moment, that the Bloodline was going to reform, that Solo was going to put the Ulafala back on Roman as the original tribal chief, and Cody was going to get a hell of a beatdown. But it didn't happen that way. Obviously, they haven't. That's not that.
They gave us the face turn rather than the heel turn, didn't they?
Yeah, very much so.
And then, you know, obviously for things to go the way they went, and then for the music to hit. And I think, again, they were very, very clever with how they did this. I love the fact he never left the sort of landing zone. When he came out there, when he came through the curtain, he just stood. And I think by not having any sort of contact and not getting involved, it leaves the story wide open as to which way things are going to go based on his reaction. You know, it was cool.
Yeah. Kenny's in. Roman has become so good at telling stories in the ring. His expression when he locked eyes on Jimmy in the ring was magic.
100%, Kenny. Absolutely, man. I agree with you.
As well. Evening Lads, Hell in a Cell was brilliant. Everything else was average and enough. There we go. And Mark did his beat the bookie for the Evening Lads. My beat the bookie is Brett to get beaten by Yokozuna, but then I think Hulk Hogan will come down and take the belt off so much. Old school.
Good man, Marky.
What did you make of The Rock coming out and giving the 1, 2, 3? But then obviously the speech he nearly gave on Instagram afterwards, walking out.
I think that was brilliant as well, you know, and we're going to look at the Kevin Owens thing in a minute. But I think if the match ends the way it ends, we probably still all go home happy.
Yeah.
But then they decide, here's a cherry, you know, and you get The Rock, and the crowd goes fucking bananas. You know, like, I've never heard a reaction like when his music hits. It's just different level. It really, really is. And then obviously you go past that, and Cody's still hanging in there, and he's the good guy, and he's still. And then of course, his old buddy KO gets him outside, and just decides, boom, I'm gonna lay this down.
Yeah, kind of.
And it's
a
just
la rock, at the RV. Yeah,
just
absolutely.
really cool, really cool. And I think that I read apparently that none of the WWE production staff knew it was going to happen.
Yeah. No, they had actually. Apparently, the talk was that
they had a total blackout. That it had to be fans to do it rather than. That's right. Yeah.
And then they were using the fan footage then to put it out there.
Yes, because they've got 4 or 5 different angles of it.
Yeah.
But none of it is WWE. It's all from fans. Now maybe it's WWE production staff standing with their phones doing it. Maybe if we're going to be cynical
what did you make of the footage of Solo up with the fans? And the fans were talking. The fans were kind of goading him, and he was saying
2-1.
Yeah, love it. And the fans, fans were around.
Hang on, I have to give you this 1 sec. The boy Ebisele has just come on. Yeah. He goes over to the right corner flag. He's lined up by 2 of the defenders. He flip-flops through the 2 of them. He touches it onto his left and onto his right. And he leaves the 2 boys for absolute brown bread, right? And then he pulls out towards the edge of the box. And with his left foot, he bends it to the back stick, right? Wait till you see this for a lovely little move. He's stuck in a corner flag, 2 boys. He goes through the 2 of them, gets the ball, swings it to the back stick. And who's there to cushion the ball on his foot and then bury it into the top corner? Robbie Brady. And what a finish, by the way. What a finish.
There you
go. He's cushioned the ball onto his foot, and he struck it with the outside of his left foot and arrowed it into the top corner above the keeper. What a goal. And he's gone absolutely full throttle. He hasn't let anyone get near him, and he's gone straight to the fans, all the way to them. And that's the 89th minute.
Mark just came in and gave us 2-1. That's what we want.
What a big goal. What a big goal.
What did you make of Solo then up in the crowd, and the crowd were kind of giving him socks and stuff like that, and he says, this is as we planned it.
What can he do?
Pretty cool.
I like Solo. I still don't think, I still don't think we know what Solo's going to be yet. Do you know what I mean? Because to be honest with you,
there's been slight little improvements, but he hasn't taken that leap.
No, but I do think, I expected Solo to be Jacob Fatu. That's what I expected. Do you know what I mean? I expected him to be that kind of big bulldozer that, you're getting tombstoned and he's getting straight back up off the deck on. Didn't hurt. Didn't hit me. They did kind of kill him in the original Bloodline as well, because he became irrelevant for a long time. Yeah, I think that's not necessarily due to his wrestling attributes, or more to do with his.
I think it's just the way. No, I don't think it's even that. I think it's the way they structured it. He just became a little bit forgotten for a while.
A little bit. Whereas I think when you look at the boy Jacob Fatu, he is just a superstar. He's a superstar. He will absolutely hold gold in the WWE. 100% he will. I've no doubts about it.
I'm very confused here. Acers, you've given us 1-1, then you've given us 2-0 to Greece, and now you're telling us Bellingham just scored and it's 1-1. I'm missing something.
It's 1-1. Greece went 1-0 up in the 49th minute, and Jude Bellingham just scored in the 88th to make it 1-1.
No bother. Right.
An assist from our boy Ollie Watkins.
Happy days. Right. I want to talk about this. AJ Styles, unfortunately getting injured last week. Only back and out again. We haven't had an update on it. He has gone for MRIs and all that kind of stuff. But what you think?
This was heartbreaking. This was genuinely heartbreaking. We know AJ Styles is a great professional. He's a good guy. He's obviously coming back from an injury and stuff like that. And to be, you know, first night back on the job, so to speak, it's just so unlucky for him. I was thinking of him last night because obviously we were watching the coverage of the hurricane and stuff like that, and they were in Gainesville at one stage, you know, and you were like, they were talking to somebody who was in Gainesville, and it was to do with what was going on and stuff like that, because I think whoever was dealing with it was in Gainesville in Georgia, and it was pushing across and stuff like that and whatever, and you're just looking at it, I'm like, oh, there's AJ, blah, blah, and you just think that I feel really bad for him, I have to be honest with you. I really do. And seeing him on the crutches then kind of compounds it, you know. I would have liked to seen AJ get another run at something. If not you know, a universal title or stuff like that, at least a US title, you know, or something like that. AJ could have done great things with LA Knight. Absolutely super things. Yeah. You know? Yeah. Two guys who can do stuff at the top of the world and just bounce off each other. They could have run a little program from sort of now to Mania.
You kind of feel with AJ, kind of they couldn't make up their mind whether they wanted him out there as a solo competitor or whether they wanted him as part of a faction. And each time they made the change, they kind of didn't give it enough time, and then they kind of reverted back and didn't give it enough time.
And I think a lot of the factions that they look to try and get him involved in were not at any sort of level where he could flourish, so to speak. Do you know?
Yeah, Daz is in. Do you think Jimmy faces Roman next at Crown? I think probably Jacob, you mean, I would imagine. Not Jimmy. Definitely not Jimmy. Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens at Survivor Series. I'm okay with that.
Possibly, yeah.
I'm okay with
that. And then what are you at? You're at Roman and Jimmy versus two of the bloodline. Do Roman and Jimmy go looking for the tag belts? Game over. Ireland 2-1. Big win.
Good. That's what we want.
Do you go looking for the tag titles for Roman and Jimmy to take them off the Tongans?
Well, they're going to have to figure out, because there's going to be a war games, isn't there?
So this is my point. But if you put KO and you put Cody into a singles match, then that's taking them out of the war games match, right?
Yeah.
So then are you going the two Tongans, Jacob and Solo, and then you're getting, what are you getting? Roman, Jimmy, Zilla +1.
You could do that, or they could just bring in two others now.
Who's the other lad they've just signed? They've signed before they signed Zilla, they signed another boy, right? Is it what is it? Something with a H?
Yeah. Hikolo or Hikilu or
something like this.
Hikalu or something like that. Or
is he going to be one of the new? Is he going to be somebody that they're able to blood in, or I don't know. I don't know.
Cody Rhodes gave it away on Pat McAfee's show last week. There we go. Ankle ligaments, yeah, for AJ Styles. So yeah, we would. Really, so we wish him well in his recovery. Anyway, got to talk about this man. Everywhere this man goes, he was talking this week about he bought the ice creams for the fans at AEW, and then he bought the pizza for the
Lou Malnati's pizza outside NXT. That's right. Did you see the video?
Yeah, I did. Very, very good. Very
the NXT crowd coming out and the lad just handing the boxes out of the deadly. Yeah. Just deadly.
Very cool. Yeah. He said they asked him during the week there to quantify the cost of the ice cream gig that he did at AEW. And he said it cost him thousands.
I'd imagine so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, how many people are you talking there? Was there 5,000?
Oh, there would have been more. I say this was his debut.
So, like, the likelihood is he was paying a buck and ice cream anyway, wasn't he?
There would have been some sort of a deal, I would have imagined, yeah, because you're talking about.
Like, I mean, even if you're paying a buck and ice cream, if there's 10,000, it's 10 grand. 10 grand to CM Punk's drop in the ocean. You know, the same way if you know how many people were at NXT, maybe 3,000, 4,000. but he was probably paying more for Lou Man Addy's pizzas than he was for the ice cream bars.
Look at this lunatic. Tried to cast you was on the big screens in the Giddy Dolphin. Hasn't worked. Get it working. Get it working. We should be charging them. We should at this stage.
How big are the screens? Just asking.
Apparently they're big enough.
The Titan France.
Wanted to get your thoughts on this at the moment. They're talking about how much money they save with this new format for the PLEs, where they have like a five match show, saving the money, all this kind of thing. They don't have to bring us bloated a roster around for the PLEs and all this kind of stuff. Talk to me about how you feel these PLE things and the use of these Hall of Famers and all that kind of stuff, and a lot of them now getting Legends contracts and all that.
I obviously I read a little bit actually from after Bad Blood, and stuff came out Monday and Tuesday, and one of the quotes I read was from DDP, and DDP said he's never felt as welcomed in the WWE as he had on Saturday night. And he said it wasn't, somebody making you feel welcome because they had to. He said it was someone making you feel welcome because they wanted it. He said when we got home from the pay-per-view, he said the first thing he did was sign the Legends contract.
Yeah.
And he said he zapped it off then the next day, and he said, he said, if this how things are going to go, he said, I'm all for being on board. And it was good to see the X-Pac and DDP and stuff like that in the Sky Room and stuff like that.
Tully and Arn.
Absolutely. Cool. Like, you've got to tip your hat to the guys that have gone before you. That's a respect that the lads have earned for paving that trail. And I think it's something at times that was lost on Vince. And as DDP spoke about, if you look at some of the stuff that happened under Vince with the Legends, it was generally Legends getting buried.
Yeah, and you got to remember a lot of the reasoning that the likes of Warrior came back and Bruno came back and stuff like that was a lot of the graft that Triple H had put in to get them back, more so than Vince.
Absolutely.
So it was great to see that. But it's an interesting way in the way they're fine-tuning it and they have it down.
I'm personally not a massive lover of the five match pay-per-view. And it's not for any reason other than I want to see what's on offer on a pay-per-view. That's the selling point to me. The fact you cap it at 5, means maybe we don't get something that we could get. Now, I know, obviously, we get to see maybe a Gunther and a Sami Zayn the night, 2 nights later and stuff like that, or we get to see something on SmackDown or blah, blah, blah. But I just think, like, to just pigeon it at times and go, listen, it has to be 5, so it has to fit in the box. I just think I'd like to see a little bit of movement on it. Maybe even to the point where we know with the big 4, where you're talking Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, WrestleMania and SummerSlam, that we go bigger on those occasions. And then on your monthly pay-per-view, stick to the 5. But just to allow for more. I don't like the idea of, okay, let's say the other night, right? Your first match had 2 wrestlers in it. Your second match had 3 because of Tiffy. Your third match had 4 because of Dom. Your fourth match had 4 because of the Judgment Day jumping in. What are you at there? You're at about 13. And then the boys, you'd less than 20 wrestlers on the whole show. Do you know what I mean? So it feels very niche at times. And if you're a guy, like, no room for LA Knight, no room for Gunther, obviously, no room for Jey Uso. Like, I just feel like at times I want to see.
I suppose the way they were doing it for that one, because it was Bad Blood, what they were doing is they were looking to put in kind of feuds there that ran deep, had a bit of history, all that kind of stuff, rather than just a kind of a throw in there for the sake of it and stuff like that and all. And I suppose
Greece got a winner in the 94th minute. They beat England
2-1.
2-1. In the 94th minute, the guy Pavlidis, who got the first goal, got the winner. Which means at the minute, Greece are top with 3 wins, 9 points. England are second with 6 points. We're third with 3. and Finland are rock bottom. With the good thing is here, I feel like we'll probably be able to get into a playoff now to stay in it. It's playoff in that spot, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. Or
yeah, we're in. And if you're relegation is if you're red, you get a relegation. Playoff if you're white on the dots here. And at the minute we're white, so we would go to the playoffs. But listen, that gives you an opportunity, doesn't it, to build again, maybe another win down the road.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout, actually, Acers. They should have done a backstage segment with Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, obviously, with the history and stuff like that.
Tipping the hat to,
that would
have been cool.
I heard as well they went as far as they were giving out pockets, this information. Did you see this, to roster members to come up to speed on the older guys that were there, the legends, so they knew a bit about them and stuff like that. So obviously, if you were conversing with them, you kind of knew something, that kind of way, because, interesting.
Well, straight away, that also tells you about speaking to these guys, it's important. And speaking to them and having knowledge of what they've done is also important. It's very easy for somebody at a 25 years of age to not understand who Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson were.
Yeah.
But for them to be in the wrestling business, it's something they should know.
Yeah. Absolutely. Right. Let's get on and have a quick rundown of Wrestle Dream. I know, Darren, you don't follow it as much as I do. As in, we follow it, but not.
I think that's putting it mildly, Niall, isn't it?
It would, yeah. So we started off. Acers, you're probably following a lot of people in the chat. Let us know in the chat.
Let's have a look here.
What's your picks?
God. Daniel Bryan versus John Moxley.
Well, it's coming from Tacoma in Washington, so that's Daniel Bryan's world, He's from Aberdeen, Washington.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So Bryan's going over there, right?
I would have thought so. We're probably, Acer said there as well, we're probably going to get the debut of Bobby Lashley as well. So,
is that who's coming in the Derby Land Challenge?
No, that's supposed to be Brody King, as far as I know.
That's supposed to be Brody King.
Yeah.
And has he been off telly for a little while?
Brody? No.
Yeah.
No. He was on the last pay-per-view as well, absolutely wiping lads out. But he's been more involved in kind of like the tag matches or trios matches and that kind of thing, stuff that. But he's been with, or those kind of what was the ones he was doing?
Was the trios?
Was it?
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Are you a Brody King fan?
I am actually.
Myself. I am as well.
Yeah,
I think he's got a good look. I think he could do a job in the major leagues.
Yeah.
Personally.
What did you make? Obviously, Ospreay, Ricochet, and Takeshita. But obviously, Ospreay and Ricochet had a match last week on the Dynamite 5-year anniversary. Now they literally gave us the kind of, you got the Super Juniors match, the match that we've seen all before.
I read that they basically reconjured the match that they'd run 5 years previously.
It's basically, and that's the kind of thing I was looking at, and I was thinking, that's not what I want now. What I want now is to see both these guys after developing.
Not in that setting. For them to go back and to do a match, in that kind of a way, is a bit lazy. It's a bit lazy. I really, really think it is. I think, and I read today that the Takeshita,
Takeshita, Takeshita.
He's apparently about to get a huge push. So it's not unthinkable to believe he may become AEW Intercontinental Champion or International Champion.
Yeah. I don't see it in this one. I think he's absolutely phenomenal. But for some reason, looking at the booking and the way things are structured, I'm not sure whether he has convinced the hierarchy at AEW of that situation yet. I actually, with this one, I don't see it changing hands, to be honest. But it's going to be interesting to see how he fits in with the two boys because obviously he'll be doing that kind of a lot of that in between work when the two boys are doing the Turtle Power Rangers kind of stuff.
They're flips and trips.
Yeah, absolutely.
How bad is Will Ospreay on the mic? Oh my God, he's horrific.
Yeah.
Brav. All right, brav. What are you talking about, pal? It's such a no sell for me, I got to be honest. Like I can, and again, everybody and anyone that's listening will know I'm not a massive fan of the product, but like I can certainly see at times that there is certain individuals and certain things that work very well in the product. You know, the Ospreay thing, I think like he's a choreographed dancer. Like he's that's, you know what I mean? I'd expect to see him in JLS rather than in a wrestling match. It's just, for me, that style is, it's not redundant, but it's not a style I like. Do you know what I mean? It's a style that, for me, it's not, I wouldn't look at it and think, oh my God, I can't wait till next week for this again. This is going to be so good.
Do you know what I came out? I came out of the 5-year Dynamite after seeing the match. And I do have a lot of respect for what both guys can do as athletes and stuff like that and all.
Yeah.
But these guys have been feuding. Like, when I spoke about the last pay-per-view and I spoke about like Nigel McGuinness and Bryan Danielson and the history and this 10-year, this decade or 20 years of this history and the journey they bring us on. And okay, they didn't deliver the ROH match that probably I would have wanted. But then me being naive enough thinking these boys are like, you know, nearly 20 years on from that situation.
Absolutely.
So it's obviously tough to do it. But with these two boys, I was thinking, don't just go out there and give me the Power Ranger stuff and the Ninja Turtle stuff and all that kind of stuff. Tell me a bit of a story. Bring me on a bit of a journey. Tell me where you've come from to where you are now. Don't put me in a DeLorean car at 88 miles an hour and put me back to the Super Juniors again. Bring me on something new.
This is the thing where we talk about at the minute, the storytelling side of WWE. Like Roman, for me at times, can be very limited in what he does. We know we're going to get Superman punches, spears, we're going to do this and that, right? Whereas I look at guys like Ospreay and like Ricochet, who don't have as low a ceiling athletically as Roman does, but the storytelling side of things just isn't there. They've an over-reliance on the flips and trips, and there's much less of a defined art in the storytelling of it. Whereas I feel like Roman has got to the very top of this industry and he's done it the opposite way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's for me, it's just weird. The Jack Perry match, I think Jack will retain against Shibata. The only thing about Jack is Jack has had a couple of poor performances, probably by his standard, in terms of the recent big shows that he's been on. Especially the Darby Allin one didn't hit the straps at all.
Jack Perry is Jungle Boy, right?
Was Jungle Boy. He's now the scapegoat. Remember,
he's
from
now the scapegoat. Stuff. I've seen the back of the jacket and stuff like that. Okay. Yeah. And who's he fighting?
Shibata. He was very, very good.
Do you know what vibes it gives me? And I mean this in the nicest possible way. You know, do you remember in the early 90s, Vince used to sprinkle in like random Japanese lads on the pay-per-views? Do you remember you'd get like, you know, Mr. Miyagi, and he'd rock up and he'd wrestle against someone and someone would do a beatdown, and you're like, kind of feels a bit like that at times when I'm looking at it, and I'm like, and this is with the greatest amount of respect in the world to these lads, because I know they're super athletes. I know they're exceptional wrestlers. But, like, I don't believe there's too many people going to this AEW show to watch the two boys. I've got to be honest.
I think there's a certain level of interest in Jack Perry, but I think with this match, this match is structured in a way that could deliver a decent match. And I think they've weighted it in a way to, to allow that to happen, because he has a bit of recovery here to happen. So I think we could get a good match here. Brian Cage versus Atlantis Jr. I don't know a whole lot about that. I haven't read into much. I know that Cage he's an absolute monster. So I haven't seen much of Atlantis Jr. to be honest. And then the other one that's on there as well.
Can you whip the comment away for a second so I can just see?
Yep, sorry about that.
No, you're all right. You're all right. What's that for? Here. That's for the Ring of Honor World TV Championship.
Yeah.
Then you've got the Ring of Honor World Championship.
Yeah.
And then you got the TNA Championship, the AW Intercontinental. Is he mad for a title? He's mad for a title.
Yeah, well, it's the fact that he obviously brings out promotions as well, Yeah, so I don't know a whole lot about that one. It's on the 0 hour as well. So and then we have the Ring of Honor
0 hour the pre-show?
Yeah, 0 hours like the pre-show, yeah.
Okay.
Then
we have Darby with the Open Challenge.
Darby with the Open Challenge is the Brody King one.
Definitely, are we 100% at that?
Yeah, I'd pretty much be 100% on it. Take a lot of convincing for someone else to go in there, to be honest. Unless it's something out of left field, but I don't see it because I think in the commentary we were saying he busted him, didn't he, the other night? He busted him open and stuff. So Brody. So we shall see. And then we round out down the bottom there with obviously Mark Briscoe versus Chris Jericho for the ROH World Championship. Chris Jericho has been using the kind of Christian kind of way here. He was going in hard on Mark the other night on the show about obviously the brother Jay who had passed away sadly. So it kind of hit the feels really and stuff like that. This one didn't kind of feel like the way Christian sometimes puts it across. This one kind of felt it's a bit rough around the edges, to be honest. You know what I mean? And it kind of hit a pin or hit a kind of a nerve with a lot of people from what I read and stuff. So I don't know. I think this could be a big win for Mark Briscoe, and I hope so. To be honest, I was a big fan of the Briscoe brothers back in the day. Jericho was kind of. I don't know.
Are we almost at the end?
I don't know because I think with Jericho.
Yeah.
I don't know because.
Are we making the assumption when his next contract is up, he walks back down the yellow brick road?
I don't know because he's he's extremely tight with Tony Khan, extremely tight, and he's paying truckloads of cash.
And do you think he forgoes Hall of Fame for it?
I think
you ain't getting in Hall of Fame unless you walk back in the door, right? Yeah,
but there's lots of time for that, isn't it? There's lots of time for that. Yeah, John is in here now. Big up John, saying Chris Jericho is not that funny anymore. He's not. He's kind of become very sneery, hasn't he? In a way,
is he kind of like your auntie at the family gathering that has a couple too many sherries and just starts to cut people to the bone? And she's giggling to herself, and everyone else in the corner rocking themselves to sleep.
Do you know what it is? You know when Christian pulls a promo and he goes, he plays on your dad is dead kind of thing, this kind of thing,
Yeah.
It's in a kind of a different kind of way. I think this didn't sit well with me the other night when I watched it, the way he went in on Mark about the brother. It was just kind of like, it's kind of like, because that's still, Jay's passing is still very raw with a lot of people. You know what I mean? Especially like I was a big Briscoe
Absolutely.
fan, so still very, very raw with me. So I don't know. It just didn't feel right, Acers, Jericho was absolutely right. Jay is only Briscoe to win the singles match. Yeah, I don't know. It was just Hangman Page versus Jay White as well. They'll add to this card as they do. Yeah. There it is. Darby and Brody has been confirmed. Pretty much.
It's been confirmed.
Yeah.
So I don't care how it's an open challenge and it's been confirmed.
Well, you know what I mean. It's kind of you know what I mean. It's all but confirmed. You know what I mean. So, Jericho wins the ROH Championship. I don't think so, Acers. I don't think so. I think that would look really bad. Daz, here now. What? Here now was modern for you. No, who not? Modern for me. I have no idea. I have no idea. Where am I? Thoughts on Suicide, Rene Dupree and Eugene coming to OTT in Belfast at the end of the month. Sean, I'm going to have you on. I think it's next week. I had planned to have you on to do a preview for those OTT shows coming up just as soon as the cards are laid out and stuff like that. So I haven't got any. Rene is obviously one, and Eugene's an obvious one as well. And I'm not too sure on Suicide. I don't know. Is it the same guy? Is it the same guy playing under the mask? I'm not too sure. I haven't watched it that much, to be honest.
Was Suicide in TNA and he got red gear on, red and black gear with it? Yeah, with a mask
red and blue.
Yeah.
Red and blue.
Red, that's the one, yeah. It's got to be the same guy, hasn't it? They're not bringing back the gimmick without the guy, right?
He's only going back. Sean's asking you the question here. What would he even do if he went back to WWE? Jericho? Well, he's going back for a Hall of Fame, and
he'd be going back for a Hall of Fame, a Mania match, and possibly, we need to see the El Jericho hit the gym again to get back into shape and just have one more roll of the dice and do, a 12 to 18 month sort of a spin. Obviously staying injury free, give himself 18 months to go from zero to hero or whatever, and just let him bow out then, really, Sean. That's where I would say I don't think, he gets Hall of Fame without heading back again. And I think it's something he deserves. It is something he deserves. The first ever undisputed champion, and he deserves the Hall of Fame, and he ain't getting it hanging on to Tony's coattails.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark Briscoe was a pro on the mic. He is. I love that. I love that kind of Briscoe rawness about them and stuff like that. It's cool. They live the gimmick. They lived the gimmick they did, and he still does. And they don't care.
Absolutely.
They don't. Yeah. They really don't care. At JSY, no. At JSY, no. No bother. What's the crack, Niall and Darren? Big up, Henry. Good to see you, my friend.
Hello, Henry.
Sound the last show before the 10th anniversary is Saturday, so hopefully some announcements for matches, possibly even who's facing Finn and Jordan. Yeah, once we get that detail, then we'll run through and we'll do a preview for it as always. Sean,
Sean, who's your favourites and to face Finn and Jordan? Who do you think we'll see them against? Let us know in a minute, pal. Yeah. I don't think Shane McMahon's heading to AEW at all. Do you?
They're teasing it enough, aren't they? There's a lot of talk about it and stuff like that. So I don't know.
Is that literally the only way Tony can revive this to pit one McMahon versus the other? Is that your creation of the McMahon Wars? Because let's be honest, and obviously I sent you the numbers earlier on in the group.
Drop off's massive.
The drop off is huge. AEW is getting absolutely smashed week to week in the ratings by NXT, let alone SmackDown and Raw. So I mean, there is a huge drop off in the product, and obviously people's interest in it is waning significantly. Now, one thing I've got to say, and again, I'm not a huge fan, so it may sound like it's coming from a certain place. It's not. If I look at that card in comparison to some of the cards we've seen previously, that's not a good card. Like at one stage you had better cards. You had a CM Punk. You had guys like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they've had a nasty run of injuries as well. Edge got injured, and Moxley was out, and then he was back, and they've been very unlucky at times as well with signings and with injuries, and obviously then other stuff has happened as well with Punk exiting the building and all was obviously huge. You know what I mean? That it didn't work out and stuff, and then obviously Kenny Omega as well. Whether you're a Kenny fan or not, there's a huge
there's another guy.
He's been out for over a year or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. So there is and listen, this happens all promotions, in various different cycles where you've got to put someone into place to try and keep the ball rolling. We saw Drew McIntyre have to carry the ball for WWE over COVID and stuff like that because of what was going on and stuff like that, and who was available and who wasn't available. I just think it's a really from somebody who's not, let's say, a huge week to week fan. Yeah, I think like if Punk was on that, right, I might go, Jesus, you know that? I'll watch this because Punk is involved. There's nothing on that card that would make me tune in to something that I wasn't watching week to week. There's no big shining bright star to grab me and bring me in. Especially if you consider what the likes of WWE are doing now with your Logan Pauls and with your Rock, which are exposure to the outside wrestling community, let's call them, and your mainstream exposure. That's not happening at AEW.
Yeah, but you know what it is? The difficulty for you as well, and it is a transition that does take a bit of time and investment in it. To me, it's like Guinness. It's an acquired kind of taste. The problem you have is on WWE side, you have a lot of storytelling. You have a lot of TV that follows the PLEs, runs you right up to the PLEs and stuff like that. With this kind of the TV week on week, they're kind of nearly like standalone house shows. That's how I would define it. And then maybe a week before you lead into a show like this or one of their premium shows, you kind of get a build up that gets you there and shows you where you're going and stuff like that. So you're not going to get, it's like you're looking at it's like you go to an OTT show.
With WWE, you're watching a weekly episodic show, as they say in the description.
But it flows from week to week.
It does. You know what I mean? Whereas, as you say, with AEW, it's like bang, bang, but they're completely separate.
So it's like, so what's happening is it's kind of like this week, okay, you got Gunther versus Sami Zayn. There's a story to build from that or whatever it is. Okay.
Yes.
So that kind of follows on a little bit. What happens is here is you get Gunther versus Sami Zayn, and the next week you might get Gunther versus Chris Jericho, and the week after that you might get Gunther versus Will Ospreay. And you kind of feel like as you follow the TV, it's kind of like you're being thrown around in a boat in a storm. And then eventually the storm settles, and then you get TV that leads you to the bigger show. But it kind of doesn't bring you on the journey to invest in it. You know what I mean?
Which,
let's be honest,
which is really tough.
It's really, really tough. And that's really what I said. It's very much it's an acquired taste when you've come from that situation in WWE into this situation. Like you think about it, Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley, by and large, ain't a bad main event. It ain't. In terms of, when you look at the two wrestlers and what they've achieved, stuff that whether you like Mox or you don't, whether you
I'd have to disagree with you. Like whatever about Bryan getting it across the line, Moxley is absolutely abysmal. Well, he is the dredges of wrestling society. He really is. Like he is the shakings of the bag from the Shield. He is just devoid of any sort of talent, charisma, character. Like, Jesus Christ, he's dreadful. He really is. My word.
Trying to sell a PLE event here. Give it up, will you? Give it up.
It's not a PLE. The PLEs is only in the big leagues. This is the fucking majors and the minors and the fucking these are the hodgepodge. These are the lads that can't get gigs on real shows. Like this is Jesus Christ. What are you doing to me here? Of a Chris Jericho who by and large look older and less mobile than fucking Luka Modric, who has cobwebs on him playing in the Real Madrid midfield. Lads, give us a break here, will you? Jesus, Mary and Joseph, like. Jesus. Oh God!
You were a Shield fan.
I've got Spike Dudley with face paint. I've got what's fucking Brian Cage is Mason Ryan, and I've got another lad in a mask who looks like fucking Sami Zayn's Curry Man fucking gimmick. Like,
you mean
Jesus.
Christopher Daniels? You mean
Christopher? Like, they're all the fucking same. They really are.
Daz is in. If any turns up at Wrestle Dream, Copeland or Kenny, which will it be? I would imagine Copeland, because as far as I know, Kenny is still sick. So
I follow Beth Phoenix on Instagram.
Look Ted in there to back you up. Look, remember when everyone thought he was going to be the breakout star?
Moxley. Oh God. The greatest compliment I can ever give you, Niall, is that you're that good at what you do. You sold a John Moxley figure 2 weeks ago. That in itself was a fucking. That in itself was a step in the right direction.
And
Like,
I can confirm that the owner of the figure was quite shocked when I rang him and told him. There you go.
Quite shocked is an understatement.
There you go. Spike Dudley is a legend. Spike Dudley is a legend. Oh, and now I don't want to hear the hate for Jericho. The man is a legend. They're coming in firing shots.
He's not one legend like Ted, but I think again, who does he remind you of? Look at him. Chris Jericho right now has turned into Randy the fucking Ram. He's only short of serving slices of bologna behind the deli counter, in between popping in for his matches with his fucking man boobs sagging down to his kneecaps. Come on, lads. Whoever's paying money for this show needs to start fucking having a look at themselves in the mirror. Honest to God.
People are saying Finn and Jordan will more than likely be social elite, which is fair. They're the best team in the country, and the history with Maxer and Jordan is there. Maybe Paul Tracy. Yeah, lots of dynamic there as well. Lots of dynamic there. But yeah, you're spot on there with Maxer. Absolutely. What do you make of this? Candice picking up the first ever women's speed championship, beating Io Sky. Do you follow this at all, this speed stuff on Twitter or anything like that? Or?
Very, very gently. Very gently. Like, again, I need things to be believable. I really do. I can believe certain things. I absolutely can't believe Candice LeRae beating Io Sky. Like, sell me something. Sell me something I can listen to. Sell me something I can believe. Something I can bite and go, oh yeah, that tastes good. Candice LeRae.
We'll save his thoughts on Eric Ten Hag for next week's football show. The likelihood is it looks like he is staying and probably going to be there for the rest of the season by the sounds of things.
I'd imagine he'd be there for the rest of his contract by the sounds of it, unfortunately.
Absolutely. Ted's delighted for Candice. Yeah, I was delighted for Candice as well. I don't really like the speed stuff. If I get the idea, but if they can win that quick in those matches, why is it taking 30 minutes on Raw?
Do you know what I don't like? And I just called out AEW for it. So I have to then call out WWE for the same thing. Don't give me a title for the sake of it. Don't give me the speed title. That's a gimmick. I don't want gimmicky. Like, I want gimmicky to a certain degree. I want an Intercontinental Championship. But I don't want the speed title. And by the way, I also don't want the Crown Jewels belt.
Speaking of gimmick belts, didn't I slide right in there? Look, I went right in there under the duvet with that one.
I've teed you up for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Big up Henry. Kenny's in. That speed stuff is just a ticket being punched for an AEW run.
100% Kenny. That is an abysmal title. Look at that. Actually, the only title I've seen worse than the Crown Jewel title is the fucking speed title. Because they both equally look like they just came out of a Kinder egg. Look at the state of that thing, man. Who would the Crown Jewel title look really well on? You have this. You know this. You've got
hang on. Good for Candice, but winning the speed was like missing a medical appointment due to an illness.
Absolutely.
Spot on, Henry. Thanks for dropping in, pal. Really appreciate it.
Go on, Henry. Who do you think? Just tell me. Hang on. Just tell me. Yeah. Who would that Crown Jewel belt look really good on? And it's none of the four people in the picture.
It's only going to look good on the likes of a Lesnar or a Big Show or someone like that. It's ridiculously big.
Look at the green. Who's it going to look good on? No.
Green.
Luchasaurus in his Barney mask.
Now we can't be saying that. Luchasaurus is ill at the moment. On the mend. So shout out to Luchasaurus.
Luchasaurus and his shit gimmick and his shit mask. You want to wrestle as Barney, pal? Leave it out, will you?
Don't be hitting men when they're down. Don't be hitting men when they're down.
You can take the shit Crown Jewel belt with you, Luchasaurus, with your bogey mask and your awful botched moves.
Liv Morgan and Walter already champions. So you're picking Liv and...
Well, the only way Gunther beats Cody is if there's interference, right?
Well, Gunther won the King. Didn't he win that King of the Ring thing there last year? Gunther.
Yeah, but he didn't beat Cody for the Crown Jewel belt, is what I'm saying. So the only way he wins the Crown Jewel belt, in my eyes, is if there's interference to cost Cody. I don't think they're putting Gunther over Cody clean, do you?
I wouldn't have thought so.
Neither would I.
I wouldn't have thought so.
I think Liv will absolutely end up with the women's version of it. And with a bit of luck, it won't be as ugly as the men's. But listen, there you go.
Because it's interesting as well, because Nia won the Queen of the Ring, didn't she?
That's
as
right.
Well, so, on the same show.
So will the two who won the Queen and King of the Ring lose and not end up with the Crown Jewel belts? Who knows?
Getting this Crown Jewel belt to me feels like, and see the way they put it in there, this whole Riyadh season with the boxing, with the wrestling, with the golf and everything and all, you know. Like this Crown Jewel belt to me feels, it's going to feel like someone's going to have to carry this around for a year already, like a Money in the Bank briefcase.
Do you
this
think
it's going to be a hassle, is it?
No. This is your Andre the Giant Battle Royal. You win this on the night and then you never see it again.
50 carats of diamonds.
You're definitely not seeing this title again other than on the night. 100%.
So
I don't believe.
So what happened then? Does this title just go off and it doesn't get defended till Crown Jewel next year?
They're not defending it. They're just winning it outright on that in that particular year. I imagine.
This is just a prize.
So this is like a King of the Ring thing. So this is once a year. You know, the two champions face off.
Champion. So this is like a Night of Champions kind of thing, with a prize at the end of it.
With a prize at the end of it, someone's going to get to raise that really ugly belt, and then, you know.
Do you think Seth has a match at Crown Jewel?
I'd imagine so. Yeah, I would. I gotta say, I thought the first hour of Raw on Monday night really got things moving. You know, obviously we see Punk come out, and then Punk crosses over with Seth. And then you're like, this starts to...
Imagine being on a poster with Cody and still being the least likable.
He's obviously talking about Nia. He's not a Nia Jax fan at all.
Titus O'Neil.
And then obviously, you know, you've got Jey Uso who then comes in onto Seth. So there was two little teases. Are we going to get Seth and Jey in the short term? With Seth and Punk being more long term when Punk is back fit and healthy and clear and whatever, and after he's had a bit of time off and stuff like that, it'll be interesting. Yeah. Goldberg is going to screw Gunther, which would set up Goldberg versus Gunther and would keep the blue-eyed boy with two belts, only for him then to be jumped by Kevin Owens after the match, maybe. So again, we get that unraveling, doesn't it?
Kevin Owens versus Cody Survivor Series because it's in Canada.
It is in Canada, you're right. That's right. Because we did think about going there, didn't we?
We did, but Vancouver was a stretch. To say the least.
Until we find out there's no direct flights to Vancouver, that was the end of it for me. Not gonna lie. If I can get there direct, you have a possibility you get me there. But as soon as you're starting to connect flights,
and I would imagine Vancouver is a beautiful part of the world, but at the end of November, maybe not so much.
100%. I agree with you. I know a lad out of the club who used to used to live in Vancouver, and I was talking to him, and I said, you lived in Vancouver, didn't you? And he says, oh yeah, that's right, yeah, that's right, blah blah. And I says, long old trip up there, is it? He says, oh yeah, it's a good old spin. And I says, right, yeah. Like, how did you typically get there? He says, oh, you'd go into Toronto or, you know, somewhere like that, and then you'd come from there. He said, but there was a company called WestJet that used to do it. And he said they brought one time, he said they went direct. He said it was direct route. He said, and they went direct from Vancouver to Dublin. But he said the plane was so cold when you got on, the stewardesses and stuff like that wrapped you in a blanket as you got onto the plane. And he said, you were in the plane with the seatbelt over the blanket, which was keeping you king. He said, but for about 12 hours, the plane just bounced. He said it was like LeBron was playing with the Shaq.
Can you imagine you're walking onto the plane and you walk through and it's like a toy wrap machine and the blanket goes around you and it just ratchet straps around you. And you're hopping along to your seat.
Hopping along to your seat. And he said then when he said the plane took off, obviously with it being so cold and mountainous and blah, blah, he said for the next sort of 12 hours, he said it was like LeBron was playing with the plane. He said it was just horrific. Oh, God.
I remember traveling up to Fresno one time to work up there for a few months. Fresno's kind of in between San Francisco and Sacramento. And I got an American Eagle one up. Now, American Eagle is the propeller job, Indiana Jones job. And
no need for that, carry on.
I was getting on it and the noise off it was unbelievable off the oh God, it was horrific. But one of the guys that was getting on, there was a guy in front of me, a black dude, and he was about 6'9". This guy was proper up there, and he must have been a basketball player back in there or something. You want to see him trying to get in this because like you have a little doorway in like that, and the lad was bent down like a 90-degree angle trying to get into this, and you want to see him trying to sit in the seats. You think Ryanair's bad? This was like different gravy altogether. It was crazy.
That'll be a hard no for me, thanks.
Yeah, unbelievable. And we were going up over the canyon and everything and all. Oh, it was horrific. Horrific.
How long were you in the plane for? About an hour?
No, it was about 2.5, 3 hours, I think.
In a propeller?
Yeah, in a propeller job. They're real slow, man. They barely move. These things, like you think you're sitting, like, you know, when you look out the window and you can see stuff going by, you know, when you're coming into land in Ireland and stuff like that. And this yoke, you're looking out the window and like nothing seems to change.
You're seeing the same building for 20 minutes, like.
Yeah, it's like being in a goldfish bowl or something, nice castle.
Oh, God, man. That's horrific. I think I just got sick of my mouth there.
Ted and Kenny were in, yes, and the greatest Royal Rumble title. We've probably seen the actual the trophy more than we've seen Strowman nearly.
Yeah,
if you think about it. Yeah, it was Nia. Man, she is brutal.
I knew you weren't there. I knew he was. Oh, really? Is that legit?
On Paddy's Week in Manchester in March. That's what he's assuming. It hasn't been announced yet.
Oh, that'll be good, won't it?
Romy's in. Big up, Romy. Good seeing my friend. There we go. What are we talking about? Acers. I always remember the scene in Cool Running movie when they arrived at the airport with the freezing snow. They're all wearing summer clothes.
Yeah. And your man just keeps putting the clothes over the clothes and over the clothes and over the clothes.
What a movie. Just a little one. Obviously, this was kind of cool last night. Tony D'Angelo pulls off the upset, defeating Obafemi to capture the WWE NXT North American title.
Now, I love this. Cool. I love this. But where do we go now with Obafemi?
Well, he'll be due a rematch, won't he, at least, you would imagine.
Right, or does he move on to Trick Williams?
Possibly. Or is he destined to move to
go to the main roster? I like the boy Obafemi, but he's going to have to do a bit with the gimmick.
Yeah.
I like him from a wrestling standpoint, but I get almost vibes off him when I hear him talking all, you know.
Don't say that now.
Yeah, I do. I have to be honest with you.
Straight to the main roster with him.
That's maybe Ted. I do like the guy. You can see him. He's built different than he completely. He's an athlete. He's gonna do really, really well. I think they need to do something.
I don't watch NXT. It's too sexy red for me.
Where do we know where they dug this bitch up from?
I don't know.
This is her second time being on it in the last 6 months. She looks like she just came out of some crack house in the middle of bleeding Compton. She is in flouters.
They're announcing a lot pretty quick and early as well, aren't they? Did you see the stuff as well? What's SummerSlam? Cardi B? Cardi B?
Yeah, I think it is Cardi B, yeah.
Sorry about that. We'll probably win a deadline match before winning NXT title. Let's stand and deliver. Her coochie pink and booty all brown. Jesus. You're not wrong about where she came from, Dazzler.
Oh,
Probably
absolutely,
pretty
man.
close.
Yeah.
She looks like she came from a Diddy freak off party. The boys are going in hard tonight.
When the WWE product looks a certain way and it's glitzy and it's glamorous and it's, you know, airbrushed and filtered and blah de blah, and then you see this chick that's coming out with like needle marks in her arms, and you're like, where did this bitch come from? Like, it's just, I don't know, loses me.
Those are lyrics from her big song, by the way. There you go.
Are they? Yeah, fair play to you.
That's saying it is at World's End next AEW pay-per-view after Saturday. Right, we want to talk quickly about this hotel situation.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
You're probably talking to the wrong person about this. Let's not forget, I knocked on John Cena's door, on his hotel room door in Dublin, only to have the door slammed in my face. So, I mean, like, I get what the guy was there for. I think it's creepier than, you know, knocking on the door. But like, I was looking for an autograph or a photo, but the fact someone was sitting in a lobby taking pictures of chicks' feet is just, you're gonna have a look at yourself there, aren't you?
I don't think knocking on John Cena's door looking for picking an autograph is anywhere near any comparison to this, to be honest.
Thank you very much. Although I was evicted from the hotel afterwards, so maybe it's the same level.
Not renewing the contract with Def Rebel, so less Jelly Rolly and not so sexy Red and more Limp Bizkit and Rammstein. Don't be hating on Jelly Roll. I like Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll's my guy.
We only like Jelly Roll because we shop in the same shops as him. Let's be honest.
Yeah, we've a similar calorific intake.
We do. Let's you know what I'm saying.
Fat guy's real. Fat guy's real. I ain't getting any facial tattoos though, that's for sure.
I always
No,
I wasn't. And I took some heat for it, man. It was there was a lot of heat going on there now, I have to tell you.
WWE's taste in music is certainly is.
I don't know. I like some of their gear. I like some of it now, I gotta be honest with you.
Yeah, look, I have to say, look, I enjoyed some of the Kid Rock stuff when I was fairly gargled at WrestleManias and stuff like that.
Did you not absolutely love Flow Rider?
I did. I was just about to say that. I did like Flow Rider.
Like, Jesus. And like MGK, top of the pops as well.
Yeah.
Skylar Grey, very good as well. Like, some of the stuff is good. I think probably you get a lot of the bigger headline acts at Mania. And touche, Jerry. Touche, Jerry. I like it. I'll give it to you. I don't listen. I'd probably pick Limp Bizkit over Metallica as well, if I'm honest with you. But that's a personal thing, you know.
Sean might agree with that. Actually, Sean's a big Limp Bizkit fan.
Yeah, and I know one Morris would probably agree as well. Another big Limp Bizkit fan, Morris is, isn't he?
He's just hunting down the Fred Durst interview for the channel. That's all.
He really is, isn't he?
He is.
I tell you what, you'd almost like to see him get it at this stage. He's put so much effort in. Do you know what I mean?
He's put in more miles nearly than the band trying to get it.
Yeah, he sure has. In fairness to him.
Kevin Owens powerbomb and MGK was the best performance from MGK. Love it. Limp Bizkit, I wouldn't listen to them if they were playing in my street. You don't like Limp Bizkit? I don't know. They're good. They put on a heck of a show. For Dazzler, who would you have seen a face last match?
Who would I like to see finish him? It's a good question.
Who sends them out?
don't know.
Well, first of all, does he win or lose?
Cena.
Yeah, last match.
I think he probably goes out on his. I think he probably goes out in a shield and he loses.
Well, if he's gonna lose, then it has to be
Brock Lesnar.
Well, obviously, if he's gonna lose,
yeah.
No. Did we not learn that from the streak?
Oh, it's the reason why I think Brock Lesnar will be the man.
I don't know.
There's a certain finality to that.
Yeah, I was actually Ted. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking someone like that or something. That's what I was thinking. Someone like a Braun Breaker or something.
Does it do you more harm than damage though? Whereas I think with Brock, you know, it's already the cuckoo was flown the nest, so to speak. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know something, Romy? I think he'll just end up shaving the head eventually because I have a funny fit and just throw the headband back on at a baseball cap because that lad is on every second ad.
Romy's 100% right. He needs to spray it. He needs to spray it, man.
Do you know what? I don't think he cares. I think he actually uses it as part of the stick.
I don't think so. I think
Cena has always been great at people picking up on things about him and using it to his advantage. You know, he's on nearly every second ad on American TV at the moment. If you put American TV on, it's crazy. That lad must be opening checks all day long for a living.
Yeah, I still think he wants something done with that.
Heel Cody Rhodes
to end Cena.
Yeah,
it's a very different direction. It's a very different direction. I know. I've heard a lot of people talk and say they'd like it to be Randy Orton. I could see Orton. I think Cody's a little stretch, is he?
I wanted Randy to drop the 17 title to him.
Right. So then does Randy drop the title to him, but then Randy comes back to take the title back off him and finish him.
Yeah, that could work actually, and because he's the legend killer.
And it could also come around the time where, you know, if I can't beat you, Randy, I'm done. Or something like that, or can we not go that route because we know he's done anyway?
Yeah, it'd have to be something different. They'd have to come up with something a little bit different because of what we know.
So then, if he was holding the title, do they let him go out holding the title, and he relinquishes, rather than someone beating him, and you set it up for some sort of tournament?
The only kind of reason you'd have him relinquishing the belt to go out would be maybe that at some stage he comes back. I don't know whether going out with the title. I like the idea of Randy dropping it to him and then Randy chasing it and getting it back as the legend killer or something like that. That'd be kind of cool. That might work. That would be kind of cool. It's hard when you look in there and you think of all the people he's worked with in there and you think there's not a huge amount of people you really want to match him to. Sure, there isn't. Randy's obviously one. Who else is in there that you match him with?
So do you go in with Kevin Owens? Being as he was the one that gave him the step from NXT. And here we go. Now this is all starting to unravel. Is Kevin Owens the one who takes the belt off Cody? And then is Cena the one then who takes it from KO?
No, if Kevin Owens takes the belt, it has to be Orton. It has to be Orton. Makes sense. Doesn't it? Would make sense. Definitely not Gunther. Definitely not Gunther. No way.
That's not happening.
No way. There wouldn't be the level of interest in it. There definitely wouldn't be. Is people going to? I don't think people are buying. No. Not for me. Big up, Bino. Cena versus Punk, maybe. Now, there's a show. That's a good show, actually.
Yeah, I think if you're going to do that, I think Cena goes over.
Yes, I would have thought so.
And Cena comes out with the big match, John, and we get all of that kind of shtick and stuff. Like,
yeah, that DX introduction was absolutely lit.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, awesome.
Right, what do we do? I'll give you a quick little bit of history. I don't have many. Then we'll through the birthdays, and then we'll get out of here because we've been here long enough. 2001, an episode of Raw in Indianapolis, Stone Cold Steve Austin won his 6th and final WWE Championship by defeating Kurt Angle mere weeks after losing the belt to Angle at Unforgiven. 2006, Kurt Angle made his highly anticipated TNA wrestling debut when he confronted Samoa Joe to conclude an episode of Impact. And we all remember the loaf that he gave Samoa Joe, and his nose just exploded. 2005, America's Most Wanted, James Storm and Chris Harris defeated the Naturals to win the NWA World Tag Team Champions. Of course, we know James Storm went on to Beer Money, and Chris Harris, of course, went on to WWE and had an absolute disaster. 2016, on an episode of SmackDown, James Ellsworth defeated WWE Champion AJ Styles in a huge upset with the help of Dean Ambrose. There we go. As if I couldn't pile onto AJ Styles anymore, getting injured this week, I had to drop that one. 1992, Bret Hart won his first WWE World title from Ric Flair in Saskatoon at a TV taping for episodes of WWF Superstars and Primetime Wrestling that aired across late October and November. The match itself never aired on television, only on Coliseum Video VHS release, for those people who are old enough to remember. 2008, the Academy Award-nominated film The Wrestler, starring Mickey Rourke, had its first public screening at the New York Film Festival. Were you a fan of The Wrestler?
With Randy Duran?
Yeah, Mickey Rourke.
Absolutely.
Stuff,
yeah,
stuff.
100%, man.
So many ROH guys in it back then as well. It was cool. 2018, Walter retained the OTT World title against Will Ospreay in the main event of OTT 4th anniversary show in Dublin. There we go. Just let's finish it up with a little bit of Irish. Notable birthdays this week. The Miz, 1980. Daniel Powder, 1981. Stevie Richards, 1971. The late, great Eddie Guerrero, 1967. Rockin' Robin, 1964. Jean LaBelle, 1932. Rhea Ripley this week celebrates her birthday, 1996. Ricochet, 1988. Taz, who's recovering from knee surgery, we wish him well, 1967. Tony Chimmel, 1967 as well.
Do you know what I saw today? And it was very, very funny. It was a video from Tony Chimmel, and he was in the ring and he was talking about this. Buy your SmackDown t-shirt from all concession stands. And as he did, the guy with the t-shirt cannon shot him in the cock.
I was at a house show. We were at a house show in the Old Point, and he fell asleep.
Well,
and nearly fell off the chair.
Your man hit him in the nutsack with the SmackDown t-shirt that he pushed into the cannon, right? And then Chimmel lost his biscuit completely and was like eyeballing your man. And then the camera comes outside and Chimmel's talking to him. He's like, I don't care how much the damn t-shirt thing cost. If he does it again, I'll fucking break it in two and all like this. And you're like, what the fuck?
Chimmel's a big enough dude as well. He wasn't a small dude either.
But his voice changed completely. Not from the hit, but obviously, ladies and gentlemen, get your t-shirts at all. I'm going to rip his head off like this. And you were like, Tony, what's going on here, man? Pretty funny.
Yeah, he was nodding off. And I remember Will was at the show with me, and Will turned around and let a roar down at him. Chimmel, wake the fuck up. And the next thing he just woke up like this. Here he was.
Fell off the chair backwards.
So funny. The Tonga Kid, 1965. Sam Houston, 1963. And we rounded out with, of course, Hard Times. The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, 1945. Last notable birthday, and what a notable birthday is. Quick few comments to finish out. Ted, I think if you have Gunther holding the title until Mania and Cena gets one last title shot, does he win it? Then we get a cash in. No, we don't need a win and a cash in. We need him to win it and make sure that it's a proper 17 time. That's what we want, not really a one shot. Punk versus Cena makes more sense. The more I think about it, Punk comes in champion, Cena leaves WWE with the title, similar to what Punk done years ago. And Acers, Taz was breaking his bollocks laughing. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Right, folks, until next time, really appreciate your company. Darren, an absolute pleasure as always chatting pro wrestling as we do on a daily. And
thank you, Noel.
Talk again real soon. Folks, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, and most important, the like, hit the like button. If you're on the replay, if you're watching it back, whatever you're doing, always hit the like button. So important. And we'll talk to you again real soon. Have a good week, folks. Cheers, Darren.
Thanks, brother.